Well, I went to the wrong place. I went to the Living Water Church to meet you, and you weren't there, so I waited a little bit. Then I thought I saw you. So we're going to East Village Church, but I don't know where that is.
And what are we going for?
It's a meeting of the neighborhood groups downtown, and I don't really know what they're going to talk about, but...
Will you sign your name?
Yes,
On
ma'am.
your first time here?
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. Hi. How are you?
Vice President of Civic San Diego.
I just want to be real quick tonight. As you know, development activity is happening very aggressively throughout the East Village right now. We have over 4,000 units under construction downtown right now, and we expect that to continue on for the next several years. Other things we're working on, of course, are our parks and open space. Hopefully most of you know about East Village Green, which will be the park between F and G and 13th and 15th. Yes, sir.
How many permits have been pulled for permanent supportive housing in East Village?
In East Village right now, we just approved a project for 44 units up on C Street. The Beacon project, right. We have 1435, which is nearing completion down on Imperial Avenue. That's supportive housing, also about 63 units in that project. We have a number of projects that incorporate just affordable housing, not with supportive services, both in the new Park 12 project under construction on Park Boulevard, as well as in the Pinnacle project. They have 49 existing affordable units in it. They'll have 25 more in the second phase of it. And we're looking for other opportunities throughout the neighborhood. We have a project up in Cortez nearing completion, the Atmosphere project.
Are you looking for other neighborhoods other than?
Absolutely, yeah. We're doing them out in the Southeast, everything else. One of the things, and Jeff will talk to this later on after Rick Gentry, about our affordable housing program, what sites are left over from the redevelopment days in downtown, and what we've done to kind of parlay those sites into not only getting some affordable housing in those new projects, but also getting money that goes into our affordable housing fund that we can spend downtown or in other neighborhoods, because we can get more units for the buck out in other neighborhoods because land and everything is so expensive downtown. Sir.
Quick question. On the projects such as the Beacon, I live next door to that, or what will be next door to it. It's currently transient housing. Very good neighbors, run by Episcopal Services, as I understand it. The question is, at $19 million in that project for 44 units, it seems to me as a taxpayer, we're paying over $400,000 per living unit for people to be moved in, subsidized because of an addiction / impairment issue, including some mental health issues perhaps. That's a lot of money per living unit. And it seems that to serve 44 people, $19 million is an unreasonable amount. Where does the funding come from? Is part federal and part city? And I know it's not you who does this, but I'm trying to figure out how this is put together.
I think that has some housing commission funds in it, but that's a variety of federal, state tax credits usually, a number of funding sources. But again, when you say the 400,000, think of that as an investment long term. Those
In
units
what,
will
44 people? We got 1,000 living in my neighborhood now.
44. Those units will be available for 55 years. So it's not just for a year or two, something like that. And those people will transition out of that facility eventually.
It's
and
called
it'll serve
permanent
more and more
housing for a
people.
reason. Right now, they transition out very nicely, 28 beds, and it goes very well. 44 in a very nice building seems unreasonable from the amount of money we're going to spend here, and it has to be in our neighborhood, of course, as the other one you mentioned does. It's not you, I know that, but I've been to council meetings. Our former representative, Councilman Gloria, pretty much blew out of town as far as I'm concerned without really addressing the issue. We were looking at 1,000 plus people that my grandkids and I step over on the sidewalk. And frankly, it's not right, and it's very unfair to our police officers. And I just wonder why this stuff gets pushed through and funded at the rate of millions of dollars in our neighborhood continuously. It's not in the Marina District. It's not in the other core districts down here. It's certainly not in the districts most of the people live in that vote on these things, but it's certainly coming out of our property tax money. I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad about the issue. I've been coming here for
Let me
years.
say one thing to that. The homeless problem needs many, many different types of solutions. Permanent supportive housing, transitional housing, emergency shelters, all of those have to be part of the solution. And that's only one small part of it. And yes, it is expensive, but it's a long-term investment, so.
Could the money be spent elsewhere? Thank you.
Mr. Gentry will address some
I
of
look
these
forward to
projects
it.
too. I want to introduce our new interim captain, John Wes Morris.
John Wes Morris. I thought my mom was calling me. This is East Village, and I don't have to be here for more than about 30 seconds to know what the biggest issue in the East Village is. It's homelessness. There's several big players that need to be involved. There's us. We have a function. We're the ones that address the criminal behavior because there is criminality that occurs within the homeless community. There's the service provider and the different providing functions that exist. And then there's also the service providers that would address things that are more on a social level. And so we're the ones that kind of take care of the enforcement side of things. We have, obviously, most of you are probably familiar with the HOT team, but we also have our quality of life team who address the criminal, but also try to focus the people to the service side as much as possible. Yes, ma'am.
What do you do about the increasing aggressive and inappropriate behavior on the streets?
For the most part, it has to be a one-on-one type thing. You know, we look at it from a criminal standpoint, this person committed that act, so we need to address that act. Overall, that's something beyond that I can say, okay, we're gonna paint everybody with the same brush, because some of the people, you know, there's substance abuse, there's mental illness, there's a lot of factors. It can be just a bad day. I know I get grumpy when I get hungry. You know, obviously it's a little more serious than that, but you need to be able to address it holistically, if that's the right word. And so if we have a specific instance, you have that one person who is just, for whatever reason, is constantly being confrontational, then we have to address that one person. So that's,
It's people every single day. You cannot walk more than 6-8 blocks without running into somebody that is overly aggressive, yelling obscenities and screaming in the street. It's bad.
yeah.
The police department, like the captain says, we have a small piece in this very big pie. And we try and impact 5 areas in general. The first one is violence and violent crime. And there's certainly violence that does occur in this community. Some of you remember what happened over the summer where we had someone who was targeting homeless individuals. And the department pulled out all the stops to find this individual and to arrest them. So we try and target violence, weapons, and violent crime. We try and target alcohol-related issues, people drinking in public, people who are drunk in public. We have the serial inebriate program to address that. We also have narcotics violations that we try and address. And someone from the city attorney's office may talk about the new SMART program, which is similar to the serial inebriate program, diverting people who have quality of life arrests and a narcotics problem, and trying to get them off the streets into some sort of program, kind of the carrot and the stick aspect to it. We also try and impact mental health and mental wellness. And some of you may know about our partnership with the PERT program. Most recently, we have partnered with the PERT program, and the state is actually watching this program. It's called the Community Paramedic Program, or the our PERT 5 is what we call it, Mr. Unit Designator. And it's a community paramedic and a PERT clinician, and they go around and they basically answer those radio calls where someone may not be violent, but they need help, and that clinician can get them into pretty much any facility in the city. And I think the last thing is the encroachment issues that somebody asked about. We understand that's a big deal. We know it, we live it, we see it. We're out here 40, 50 hours a week on the streets, and we know you all live it on a day-to-day basis. Understand that it takes a lot of time for an officer to make one encroachment arrest, and under some of these settlements that the city's engaged in, Spencer and Isaiah, we take a progressive enforcement approach. So it starts off with a warning, and then a ticket, and then another ticket, and then maybe an arrest. And if we arrest somebody, we have to take all their personal property and impound it. And for some of these folks, they have 2 pickup trucks, literally 2 pickup trucks worth of things that the officer has to inventory and impound. So it's very time consuming. So we really have to be selective in who we choose to engage and what their record is, and if they've been warned, if they've been offered services and things along those lines. And one of the other things that we try and impact is we work with the Environmental Services Division to impact the trash that you all see out there. And the last abatement that Environmental Services did collected 13.5 tons of trash in one run, and the week before was about 12 tons of trash. So we try and impact those issues with some of our neighborhood partners, and those are the things we try and focus on because those are kind of the police matters. And the outreach is a huge component. And give you an example, Captain and I run a day off on Saturday, and Mr. McConnell calls Chief K. And he says, hey, I got this person who may need a hand. So Chief K on a Saturday calls the captain, who calls me on a Saturday and says, hey, can we get this guy some help? And I called to one of my patrol sergeants, and they had to find this guy, and they found him, and they got him into a shelter. That is how committed we are to helping the people who want help on your police department. And on a Saturday, you can call an assistant chief of police, who will call a captain, who will call a lieutenant, who will get that person the help that they need. So it's kind of a holistic approach. That's kind of what we do.
There are 5 projects being considered. Monday morning, none of them are downtown. Then we talk about the high cost, okay? In order to get the tax credit approved, we've got to build to a different standard. Our partners have to build to a different standard than what a for-profit builder would do. I used to be a for-profit builder, and I specialized in low and moderate income, single-family housing, okay? I didn't have to go through all of these things. I would design a house to last for 30 years, okay? If it's going for tax credit, it's gotta be designed to last for 55 years, which means your wall cladding is different, your interior systems are different, all of that's different, and it drives the cost up on it. And so it's part of the headaches, you know. Rick had almost no gray hair when he got here. But we're not looking to put projects downtown. We're looking at projects. As I mentioned to you earlier, there was a time when most of the other city council districts didn't have any homeless housing or low-income housing. And you can go on the website and look at that Google map. You'll find that every city council district has got affordable housing in it now, which it didn't have even as recently as 8 years ago.
Okay.
Regulations last summer, you gave some advice.
You just-
Tony,
Yes.
what do you think of the meeting?
Very interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that meetings like this go on, and the information. It's nice to interface with the police, with people in the regional task force head, and also with angry residents. Boy, I don't know. It's kind of a loss for words for that guy, but because I don't think you're going to change his mind. You're always going to have people like that. They're extreme. But it's interesting. I plan to come back to more meetings. I do live in this area. The police, you know, they basically are the way they are with us. You know, they don't really want to have to make us move. They don't, but they do because that's their job, and you know they have to do it. Most of them are very professional. There's only a few, actually only two. I don't feel good about being on the street. I don't feel good about it at all. I try to clean up, you know, where we live, and I try to make the neighbors, you know, I try to talk with them and be cordial and try to do, you know, try to stay out of their sight and try to go to businesses that are not open where I stay. I stay by the police station. They're open, but it doesn't seem like it.